Chapter 10, Section 2, starting on page 691. Before we start, what do you call a fake noodle? What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta. Problem 1. What numbers are included in the set of counting numbers? C. So right, C equals what we count by. Is it 1, 2, 3, dot, dot, dot. Remember those dot, dot, dots? That's an ellipse. What numbers are the whole numbers? Whole numbers include 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, dot, dot, dot. Keeps going forever. A lot of vocabulary in this section. We've also worked with fractional numbers, which is a set of all numbers that you can have a numerator and a denominator, but the denominator cannot be 0. A, 2. So 2 over 1. A is 2, B is 1. 3.5. You need to change this to an improper fraction. So 7 halves. A is 7. B is 2. 567 hundredths. A is 567. B is 100. 3/7. Here's my fraction. A is 3. B is 7. Depends on when you're listening to this. It is not time for the late bus. 35 hundredths. A is 35. B is 100. Number 4, in the definition of fractional numbers, B is not equal to 0. Why? Because we cannot, it's called undefined. Can't do that. Can't divide by 0. Are counting numbers fractional numbers? Yes, because I can write any whole number. Remember, we did this in class. 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 3 over 1. They are all fractional numbers. Okay, jump down to the bottom of page 693. Now we're doing rational numbers. Very similar definition to fractional numbers. A and B are integers. B is not equal to 0. So for this one, I'm going to write -2 over 1. A is -2. B is 1. On B, so you have -5/8. A is -5. That's the numerator. B is 8. Changes to an improper fraction. -39/4. A is -39. B is 4. A and B, numerator and denominator. 25 thousandths negative. A is -25. B is 1,000. And the last one, 6,017 over 1,000. It is negative. A is -6,017. B is 1,000. So with our purposes here, these are rational numbers. A over B. B can't be equal to 0. On page 694, there's an important chart you need to be able to find and use. You could tear it out and put it in your notes. 4 different types of numbers: natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, and rational. Natural numbers, 1, 2, 3. The difference between these two is 0. Integers are whole numbers, but also negative. So positive and negative whole numbers. Positive and negative whole. And rational numbers can be written as a fraction. Any number that can be written as a fraction. On the next page, you have a list. We're going to classify these different numbers, starting with 3. 3 is rational. Is a whole number. Is natural. And it is also an integer. I'm going to do the left-hand side. You're going to do the right-hand side. 0 is rational. And write it as a fraction. It is an integer. And it is a whole number. Negative 3/5. The only thing it is rational. It's not a whole number. It's not a counting number. It's not natural. Remember, they're just names. Negative 5 is rational because I can write it as a fraction. And it's also an integer, positive and negative whole numbers. 667 thousandths. It's not a counting number. It's not an integer because it's not a whole number. It is only rational. Okay? Try these for practice. Try those for practice, then check with your answers in the textbook. All right, the last problem in this section, problem 3, is the density property. All the density property is you can squeeze another number in between two numbers. First, we're going to graph. So we've got 125 thousandths. It is positive. Going to be right about there. Put 0.125. 1/4. Right about here. Once again, not enough room. 1/5 is going to be 0.2. Right here. Go ahead and just put the letters. I guess that would be easier. D, negative 4/9. Negative 4/9. It's going to be it's going to be less. It's less than a half. So I'm going to put it right about here. 4/11. Small, it's less than a half. I'm going to put it, you know, right about here. And let's do one more. Negative 3/2. That's negative 1 1/2. We can find that. There's F. All right, that's enough of that. Number 2. Plot and label a rational number between 4 1/3 and 4 2/3. There's 4 1/3. There's 4 2/3. What is a fraction or a number, anything, fits in between 4 1/2? Decimals are easier. 5.5, 5.6. Remember, add to 0. You can see it right off the bat. Oh, let's do 5.51. 0.45 and 0.46. There's 0.45. There's 0.46. 0.45. I'm going to put a 0. 0.460. 0.451. That's good. And D. Negative 45 hundredths is right here. I'll put the 0. Here's negative 46 hundredths. And 0.451. Easy enough. That's about it for this section. It's classifying rational, fractional, integers, whole numbers, lots of vocabulary. Use your notes, and you'll do just fine.